Hello and welcome to Economics Academy. This is Sir Shivankar. Today we will continue with second chapter, Consumer Equilibrium of class 11 Microeconomics. Last week we completed the consumer equilibrium with single commodity marginal utility analysis. This week we will be doing consumer equilibrium in case of two commodities marginal utility analysis. So before I start the topic, I would like to thank to all my subscribers who have subscribed and shown support to me. Thank you. And those who have not subscribed it yet, please do subscribe and support my channel. Okay. So there are two conditions to be achieved in order to attain equilibrium in case of two commodities. The first is marginal utility of last rupee spent on each good should be same. Okay, so the utility that you are deriving from the last rupee that you are spending on each good, that is two goods X and Y, should give you same level of utility, right? You may not be able to understand now, but when we do it numerically, when I explain you numerically, then it will be easier for you to understand. Alright? You can also write ratio of marginal utility to price is same for both the commodities. Symbolically, MUX by PX equals to MUY by PY equals to MUM, that is marginal utility of money. So that is the ratio of marginal utility and price for both the commodities is same, right? So this is the first condition. Second condition is your marginal utility falls as consumption increases. As you keep on increasing in consumption, marginal utility will continue to fall. That is the second condition. Both these conditions need to be fulfilled in order to attain equilibrium in case of two commodities. Now let us take the help of a schedule here. We have units of commodity 1 to 5, marginal utility of X and marginal utility of Y. X and Y are the two goods. As we know the law of diminishing marginal utility, as we consume more and more commodity, the utility will keep on diminishing. So same law applies here. As we are increasing more and more units of commodity, the marginal utility diminishes, right? And same thing with Y good also. Marginal utility diminishes. You can put your own number also. It's only that the concept has to be the same, right? You cannot increase the marginal utility, otherwise the law will be cancelled, right? So you decrease the utility with each consumption. Alright, now we have already discussed the table. Now let us see numerically as to how we can attain equilibrium. Alright, so numerically let us assume that the total income is rupees 5. Let us assume that the total income is rupees 5. Okay, now another assumption is the price of both goods X and Y, let's say, is rupees 1 per unit. So price of each good X and Y, both good, is 1 rupee per unit. Okay, then we are a rational consumer. We have already covered it, right? We have already discussed this also. Consumers are rational. So consumer would want maximum satisfaction by paying minimum. Okay, so consumer will spend each rupee to maximize its satisfaction. So each out of total income, that is 5 rupees, consumer would want to spend it in such a way that he maximizes his utility. Okay, since the price of each good is rupee 1, the consumer will first spend its first rupee on good X because it's deriving 20 marginal utility. Then it is spending the next 1 rupee on Y good, as it is attaining 16 marginal utility. Then it will spend its third rupee on X good, right? Then fourth rupee it will spend on Y good, because it is giving them the highest satisfaction, right? And last rupee the consumer is spending on good X, right? Now, what we can know from here is, what we can understand from here is that a consumer would want to maximize satisfaction. So since the price of each good is 1 rupee, the consumer with its total income of 5 rupees would like to spend first rupee of its income to good X, because it's giving them maximum satisfaction of 20. There is nothing higher than this. Then the second highest utility that a consumer can derive is by spending on Y. So the second rupee is spent on Y. So likewise third, fourth and fifth. And what you can see from here is that marginal utility derived from last rupee spent on each good is equal. See, like we say here, like we already said here in the condition, that marginal utility that you derive from last rupee spent on each good should be equal. So the last rupee that the consumer is spending on Y commodity is giving 12 marginal utility, and the last rupee spent on commodity X is also giving consumer 12 utility. So the first condition is fulfilled, right? Numerically. The second condition also can be seen fulfilled here, because marginal utility falls as consumption increases. Okay, so both the conditions can be seen here fulfilled, right? And the consumer will be attaining equilibrium when he or she is consuming 3 units of good X and 2 units of good Y. So with that, numerically we have already attained it. Now diagrammatically let us see as to how we attain consumer equilibrium. Right? Now this graph is little different than the usual graph that we draw. Okay? Here there is Y axis, this is Y dash axis, this is X axis. Okay? Now let us indicate Y axis with marginal utility of X. Okay, let's marginal utility of X is represented by Y axis, and let marginal utility derived from good Y is represented by Y dash axis. Okay, now there are total of 5 units of good, right? Now good X, we will start the point from left to right. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I have marked marginal utility of X with red and marginal utility of Y with blue. So similarly, I have also counted the units of commodity consumed of good X with the red circle and good Y with blue circle. So red is from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Y is from right to left, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so when 1 unit is consumed, the consumer is deriving 20 units of satisfaction, 20 utility. Okay, consuming 2 units, second unit, the consumer is deriving 14. Likewise, third unit, consumer is deriving 12 level of satisfaction, marginal utility, sorry. That is, when consuming fourth unit, consumer is deriving 7 utility, that's somewhere around here. Then when the consumer is consuming fifth unit, it's deriving 5 utility, that is somewhere around here. Now, in the same way, marginal utility of y. First unit 16 marginal utility here. First unit 16 marginal utility, right? Second unit 12. Okay. Third unit 8. Fourth unit 5. And fifth unit 3. Now we connect these two. Okay. Now we connect all these points. First marginal utility of x with red ink. Okay. Then marginal utility of y we'll do with blue pen. We'll mark it with blue pen. Right? It starts from here, intersects here, and ends here. Okay, so this is marginal utility of x, and this is marginal utility of y. Now, if you see here, this point of intersection of the two marginal utilities is E. Alright? That is equilibrium point. At this point, marginal utility of x is equals to marginal utility of y. Yes? Okay? Now, see, if we connect this down here, we can see that the consumer attains equilibrium when he is consuming 3 units of good x and 2 units of good y. Because when we draw the imaginary line corresponding to the equilibrium, it falls straight to 3. That is, the consumer will be attaining its equilibrium when he is consuming 3 units of good x and 2 units of good y. Diagrammatically also is proven. So at point E, both the conditions are fulfilled. That is, marginal utility of x by px is equal to marginal utility of y by py equals to marginal utility of money at this point. Okay, and after this point also you can see that marginal utility falls as consumption increases. As you increase the consumption, marginal utility keeps on falling. So both the conditions are fulfilled over here. So we can explain this in a very simple language by just saying that the point E is the equilibrium where we attain the equilibrium, right? And the imaginary line corresponding to it falls down at 3. That means we attain equilibrium when we are consuming 3 units of good x and 2 units of good y. And both these conditions, see, at this point mu x by px equals to mu y by py equals to marginal utility of money. That condition is sufficed here, and the second condition, the marginal utility will fall as the consumption increases, is also fulfilled. Thus, the point E is equilibrium, and they are attaining 12 marginal utility each. Okay, both the goods. And we will be covering the ordinal utility approach in the following week. Stay tuned. Thank you. Study well.